Welcome back to another episode of Valuable Coins, where we dive deep into the world of numismatics, uncovering the most valuable and unique coins in the market today. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or simply interested in the incredible value of rare coins, you're in the right place. In today's video, we will explore two of the most fascinating and expensive United States coins currently circulating the auction market. First up, the United States. Silver Washington Quarter. Dollar. 1965 is a coin with a compelling history and a notable distinction from other quarters that came before it. This coin stands as a significant marker in the history of American currency. It was released during a pivotal year for the U.S. economy, just as the country was experiencing a transition in its coinage. For collectors and numismatists, the 1965 Washington Quarter is a crucial part of the coin's historical evolution, specifically due to the changes brought about by the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from most circulating coins. In terms of its design, the 1965 Silver Washington Quarter retains the classic profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, as designed by John Flanagan. His iconic bust of Washington is featured on the obverse, while the reverse depicts a traditional eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. However, the 1965 Washington Quarter also marked a significant departure from previous versions of the coin. Prior to 1965, quarters contained 90% silver, but due to rising silver prices and a coin shortage, the U.S. Mint made the decision to remove silver from circulating coins, including the Washington Quarter. This decision resulted in the creation of a new version of the coin, one that was made primarily of copper and nickel, with only a small percentage of silver. The 1965 Washington Quarter, along with the quarters from 1965, 1966, and 1967, are made from a clad composition, which consists of a core of copper-nickel and outer layers of pure copper. While this new composition significantly lowered the intrinsic value of the coin, it also led to the development of a specific and sought-after subset, the 1965 Washington Quarter in circulated condition without a mint mark. One of the most notable features of this particular coin is the large date. The large date variety of the 1965 Washington Quarter is a distinctive feature that sets it apart from other quarters minted that year. The large date version is often more easily identified by the size and positioning of the numbers, making it a particularly interesting coin for collectors seeking variety in their collections. Interestingly, this particular version was produced in significant numbers, but due to the mass production of the 1965 coins, finding one in circulated condition with its original shine and luster is a rarity. As a result, the 1965 Silver Washington Quarter with the large date in circulated condition has grown in value. In terms of mintage, the 1965 Washington Quarter was produced in large quantities due to the government's need to produce coinage in large numbers to meet the demands of the population. However, despite the high mintage numbers, the significance of the coin lies in its place in U.S. numismatic history. The 1965 Washington Quarter was the last of its kind to be made of silver, marking a crucial moment in the history of U.S. currency. When it comes to the market value of the 1965 Silver Washington Quarter in circulated condition, collectors have shown a great deal of interest in this coin over the years. This interest has only grown in recent decades as the rarity of the coin becomes more apparent. The fact that this coin was part of the last batch of silver quarters before the change to clad coins, combined with its distinctive large date variety, gives it a special place in the hearts of collectors and investors alike. As of today, the 1965 Washington Quarter, with the large date and no mint mark, can fetch prices in the range of several $30,000 to $78,000 at auction, depending on the condition and any unique characteristics the coin may have. While coins in circulated condition may not fetch as high a price as those in mint or uncirculated condition, they still command a significant value due to the limited number of well-preserved examples that remain. Moreover, the market for 1965 Washington Quarters has experienced fluctuations, but overall, the trend has been upwards, as more and more collectors seek to add this piece of American history to their collections. The coin's appeal lies not only in its silver content, but in the history it represents and the rarity of well-preserved examples. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a novice looking to start your collection, the 1965 Washington quarter is a coin that should not be overlooked. Let's move on to the second coin of the day, the 1974 silver Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark, in very fine condition. This coin is highly collectible and commands a great deal of attention in the auction market, not just because of its silver content, but also because of its role in the long-running history of the Washington quarter series. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar. By the time 1974 rolled around, the design of the Washington quarter had been in circulation for over 4 decades. The coin had been introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it quickly became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. For collectors, the Washington quarter represents a significant part of the nation's numismatic tradition, and every new mintage offers a unique glimpse into the changing times and the evolving economy. The design on the 1974 Washington quarter is typical of the series, with George Washington's bust featured on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. However, one of the key features that set the 1974 Washington quarter apart from others is its composition. By the 1970s, the United States Mint had transitioned to using a copper nickel-clad composition for most circulating coins, including the quarter. However, a significant portion of the quarters produced before 1965 were minted in 90% silver, and that makes the 1974 issue stand out among other quarters produced during this period. While the majority of 1974 Washington quarters were produced without mint marks, the ones without any mint mark were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. However, unlike the 1980 error discussed earlier, there is no significant mint mark mistake associated with the 1974 Washington quarter. Instead, its value comes from its place in the series and its high demand among collectors who are drawn to the Washington quarter series for its iconic design and historical relevance. The mintage for the 1974 Washington quarter is quite large, with tens of millions of coins being produced that year. However, like many coins, the number of well-preserved examples is much smaller, making those in very fine condition more valuable than their lower-grade counterparts. In this condition, the coin will exhibit some noticeable wear, particularly on the high points of the design, but it will still retain much of its detail. The obverse of George Washington's portrait will be clearly visible, and the reverse eagle design will still be distinguishable, although it may have softened slightly due to circulation. In terms of market value, the 1974 silver Washington quarter without a mint mark in very fine condition has a healthy presence in the auction world. Given its historical context and the importance of the Washington quarter series, coins in this condition can range from a lot of dollars to several thousand, depending on the specific auction, demand, and market conditions. Those with less wear or in better condition are valued more highly, while coins with more significant wear or damage may fetch lower prices. The value of this coin is influenced by several factors, including its collector interest. Coins from the Washington quarter series are highly collectible due to the long-standing appeal of the design, and the 1974 issue is no exception. Additionally, coins minted without a mint mark often carry a certain allure for collectors who specialize in Philadelphia minted coins, or those looking to complete a specific set of Washington quarters. The 1974 issue holds a particular appeal for those interested in U.S. coins from the 1970s, and those who focus on acquiring a wide range of Washington quarters from different years and mints. To wrap things up, the 1974 silver Washington quarter dollar, without a mint mark in very fine condition, is a valuable coin that holds its place in the hearts of collectors. Its historical significance, combined with the demand for well-preserved examples, ensures that this coin will continue to hold value for many years to come. Whether you're adding it to your Washington quarter collection or simply seeking a unique piece of American numismatic history, the 1974 Washington quarter is an excellent investment. Now, let's take a look at another fascinating and highly valuable piece of U.S. currency, the 1985 silver Washington quarter dollar with the P error mint mark. This coin is one of the most intriguing errors in modern U.S. coinage, and its market value has skyrocketed in recent years as collectors have come to recognize its rarity and significance. The story of this coin begins with a simple mistake at the US Mint, but its value and collector interest have grown into something much larger than the initial error itself. The 1985 Washington quarter was part of a series of coins minted during the mid-1980s, a period that saw the continued production of clad coins and a focus on maintaining the integrity of U.S. currency. However, the 1985 Washington quarter became notorious for its unique error: the inclusion of the P mint mark on a coin that was not supposed to have one. The P mint mark, representing the Philadelphia Mint, was intended for only certain coins, and its appearance on a Washington quarter was an unexpected anomaly. The fact that the mint mark was included on a coin that was supposed to be minted without it turned this coin into a highly sought-after error piece. The error occurred during the production process, and it is believed that a coin from the Philadelphia Mint was mistakenly pressed with a die that had the P mint mark, which was used for coins minted at the Philadelphia facility. This small oversight led to the creation of a coin that was meant to be produced without a mint mark, but with the addition of the P, making it an error that collectors have eagerly pursued for decades. One of the unique features of the 1985 Washington quarter with the P error mint mark is its condition. This particular example is in a red, rusty color, a feature that sets it apart from other error coins. The color change can be attributed to exposure to environmental factors, which have caused the coin to develop an oxidized appearance. While this might not be ideal for some collectors, for others, it adds an extra layer of character and authenticity to the coin, making it even more desirable. In terms of design, the 1985 Washington quarter retains the same basic design features as other quarters from the series. The obverse features the bust of George Washington, and the reverse showcases an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch. However, the presence of the P mint mark on the coin's reverse side makes this particular example stand out as an error coin, and that's where its appeal truly lies. For numismatists, error coins like these are prized for their rarity and the story behind their creation. The 1985 Washington quarter with the P error mint mark is no exception. The market for error coins has always been strong, and the 1985 silver Washington quarter with the P error mint mark is no exception. Over the years, the value of this coin has appreciated, particularly as more collectors have become aware of its existence and its significance. Today, this coin can fetch significant prices, particularly when it is found in a state of good condition, even with the red rusty discoloration. Auction prices for the 1985 Washington quarter with the P error mint mark have ranged from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on the specific condition and the extent of the error. The red rusty color does affect the value to some degree, but collectors who appreciate error coins often find these characteristics more fascinating than detracting from the coin's overall worth. Additionally, the scarcity of such coins on the market today only adds to the allure, as they are relatively rare and difficult to find. Next up, the 1980 silver Washington quarter dollar with a P mint mark error. This coin has attracted considerable attention in the numismatic community due to the rare mistake in its minting process. In the world of coin collecting, even the smallest error can have a massive impact on a coin's value, and this one is no exception. The Washington quarter dollar has been in circulation since 1932 and has undergone numerous design changes throughout its long history. The coin was originally designed by John Flanagan and features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, with a bald eagle on the reverse. The Washington quarter has been minted in various compositions over the years, but the 1980 issue, in particular, stands out due to its unique historical context. In 1980, the United States Mint was still producing coins from the Washington quarter series, though the coin's design would soon undergo a change as part of the bicentennial celebrations for the United States. However, before the design was updated, the 1980 Washington quarter was minted in a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. This silver content adds intrinsic value to the coin itself, and it remains a key factor in the appeal of this coin today. Now, what makes the 1980 Washington quarter dollar particularly special is the P mint mark error. In a surprising turn of events, a small batch of coins from the 1980 mintage was mistakenly stamped with a P mint mark, which had previously been used for coins minted at the Philadelphia Mint. The issue is significant because, By 1980, quarters were only being produced at the Denver and San Francisco mints. Coins from Philadelphia did not carry the mint mark. This error is incredibly rare, and the discovery of these P-minted Washington quarters caused an immediate stir in the coin-collecting community. When you encounter a 1980 silver Washington quarter with a P-mint mark error, it is typically in circulated fine condition. Although this might not be the pristine, uncirculated version that collectors often seek, a coin in fine condition still holds significant value due to the rarity of the error. Coins in this condition are often well-worn, but they still retain their key design features, such as the clear portrait of George Washington and the eagle on the reverse. Over time, the wear on these coins may cause some fading of the details, but the unique error remains unmistakable. In terms of market value, the 1980 silver Washington quarter with the P mint mark error is a highly sought-after item at auctions. Depending on the specific condition, collector demand, and current trends in the market, this coin can fetch anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. In circulated fine condition, you can expect the value to be on the lower end of this spectrum, but as we all know, coin values fluctuate with market conditions and collector interest. Coins in better condition, such as those with less wear, can command significantly higher prices. The mintage numbers for the 1980 Washington quarter with the P mint mark error are extremely low. While the total mintage for the 1980 Washington quarter series is in the tens of millions, the number of coins with the P mint mark error is only a small fraction of that. As a result, this coin is seen as a rare find and highly desirable among serious collectors. The scarcity and error make it an ideal candidate for a coin that could appreciate significantly in value over time. As for collector interest, the 1980 silver Washington quarter with the P mint mark error has a dedicated following. Many collectors are particularly interested in the unique history behind the error, as well as the challenge of finding such an elusive piece. Collectors who specialize in errors or are interested in adding notable pieces to their collections are always on the lookout for coins like this. Moreover, the fact that the coin contains silver makes it even more attractive to those who are also focused on the intrinsic value of precious metals. In conclusion, the 1980 silver Washington quarter dollar with the P mint mark error is a rare and valuable coin with historical significance, fascinating design features, and a unique error that has made it a standout in the world of coin collecting. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a newcomer to the hobby, this coin is a must-have for any collection focused on U.S. silver quarters or mint errors. If you're lucky enough to come across one, it's a great opportunity to add a piece of American numismatic history to your collection. Next up, let's talk about the 1970 Washington quarter dollar with a large date. No mint mark in good condition. This is one of the most expensive silver Washington quarters you'll find on the market today. The Washington quarter dollar was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Over the decades, this coin has seen several design changes, but the Washington image has remained a symbol of American history and patriotism. The coin's obverse features a portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, while the reverse shows an eagle perched on a branch with the words E pluribus unum and United States of America around it. This design has endured, making the Washington quarter one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics. But let's focus on the 1970 Washington quarter, specifically the large date variety. In 1970, the United States Mint made a significant change in the design of the date on the coin. The digits on the 1970 quarter were made larger compared to earlier years, which led to the introduction of the large date variety. This shift was subtle but significant enough to be noticed by collectors and investors, which later increased its value on the market. Now, you might be wondering, why is the 1970 large date Washington quarter without a mint mark such a highly prized coin? Well, a few factors play into this, including its mintage and the current market value. The 1970 Washington quarter, in general, had a large mintage of about 175 million coins. However, coins from this era in good condition, especially without a mint mark, are rarer than you might expect. The absence of a mint mark is a key feature that elevates the value of this coin in the eyes of collectors. Without a mint mark, this 1970 quarter would have been minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which typically did not place mint marks on coins. This makes the coin distinctive, as many collectors focus on identifying coins from the different mints, and a coin without a mint mark is often more difficult to find in good condition. In fact, the 1970 large-date Washington quarter, in good condition, has been fetching impressive prices at auction. The market value of this quarter can fluctuate depending on its condition, but in good condition, it typically ranges from 20,000 to 50,000 US dollars, depending on auction dynamics and demand. Coins that are in better condition, like very fine or extremely fine, can see prices soar higher. Some examples of this quarter in uncirculated condition have gone for several $100s, especially those with pristine luster and sharp details. As such, the 1970 Washington quarter with the large date is a highly collectible coin. But it's not just about the monetary value. There is a deep historical and numismatic appeal to this coin as well. It represents an era in American history, and Washington's legacy continues to resonate with collectors and investors alike. The quarter itself is a reminder of a turning point in the U.S. Mint's coin production, where small design changes began to make significant impacts on the collector market. Moreover, the 1970 large-date Washington quarter without mint mark continues to garner interest among collectors who specialize in varieties and errors. Its collector interest is driven by the desire to find specimens that are unique, with certain characteristics that make them stand out. Whether it's the large date or the lack of mint mark, these traits ensure that this coin is a mainstay in any serious collection. Next up, let's take a closer look at another Washington quarter. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar is another unique and highly collectible coin in the Washington quarter series. This coin, minted at a time when silver was still being used for U.S. coinage, has gained attention not just because of its age and composition, but because of its status as a rare find in the world of numismatics. While the 1967 Washington quarter dollar is part of a standard series of coinage, the version without a mint mark holds particular interest, especially when it comes in damaged condition. Historically, the Washington quarter series has seen many different design changes and variations, but the 1967 coin holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to the fact that it was produced during a critical period in U.S. coinage. By the mid-1960s, silver was becoming an increasingly valuable commodity, and the U.S. Mint was moving toward reducing the silver content in coins. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar, along with other quarters minted during this time, contains 90% silver, which makes it an attractive option for both collectors and investors who are interested in precious metal content. The 1967 Washington quarter features the same classic design as its predecessors, George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the eagle in flight on the reverse. However, the most notable feature of this particular coin, especially when it is found without a mint mark, is its rarity. In 1967, quarters were produced at both the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark and the Denver Mint with a D mint mark. The lack of a mint mark on a 1967 Washington quarter is a noteworthy trait because it indicates that the coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, where the majority of coinage was produced. While the 1967 Washington quarter is not particularly rare in general, when it is found in damaged condition, its value can increase due to the collector demand for examples in all conditions. A damaged coin, whether due to mishandling or other forms of wear, is generally considered less valuable than a well-preserved coin. However, when it comes to certain error coins or rare pieces like the 1967 Washington quarter, damaged examples can still fetch a higher price than one might expect. In fact, collectors often seek damaged examples as they represent a moment in the coin's history, showcasing its journey through time. The value of a 1967 Washington quarter without a mint mark in damaged condition may not seem significant at first glance, but the collector interest for this coin is growing. With the increasing demand for silver coins and the growing awareness of U.S. coinage's historical value, the prices for such coins have been steadily rising. While the exact value can vary depending on the extent of the damage and the coin's overall condition, A damaged 1967 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark could sell for anywhere between $50,000 in today's auction market. While this might not sound like a huge amount compared to other rare coins, it's important to remember that this coin's value is partly driven by its silver content, historical significance, and the growing interest from collectors. As more people become aware of the potential of investing in silver coins, the value of these Washington quarters, even in damaged condition, is likely to see an upward trend. Moving on to our next coin, the 1980 Washington quarter dollar, with a large date and D-mint mark error. This coin is another example of how small errors in the minting process can create a huge collector interest and boost a coin's market value. The 1980 Washington quarter had a mintage of around 225 million coins, so it may seem that these coins are relatively common. However, it's not the standard 1980 Washington quarter we're focusing on. It's the one with a large date and a D mint mark error. Let's first talk about the design features of the 1980 Washington quarter. The obverse features George Washington's profile, and the reverse, as always, showcases the eagle. The design itself didn't change much from the previous years, continuing the tradition that had started in 1932. But collectors began noticing that the date on the 1980 quarters was larger than usual, leading to the term large date for the variety. However, the most notable aspect of this particular coin is the D mint mark error. As you might know, the Denver Mint typically placed the D mint mark on quarters struck at that mint, but in 1980, there was an error in the production process. Some coins that were intended to have the D mint mark ended up being struck without it, and vice versa. These minting mistakes are the main driver of value for this coin. The large date with a D mint mark error is a rare variety that intrigues both novice and seasoned collectors. The fact that the mint made an error and produced a coin with a mint mark that wasn't where it was supposed to be makes this coin a piece of history. This error coin can sometimes fetch prices significantly higher than standard 1980 quarters, with very fine condition specimens commonly selling for anywhere between $70,000 to $100,000 USD or more. The market value can skyrocket, especially when the coin is in mint or uncirculated condition. This coin is also a prime example of how error coins play a significant role in the collecting world. Errors are often highly sought after because they are rare, and the circumstances surrounding their creation are intriguing. For collectors, there's an added thrill to owning a coin with an error, as it tells a unique story of the minting process. What makes the 1980 large date with D mint mark error even more attractive is the fact that these errors are not always obvious at first glance. In many cases, the error is subtle, requiring a keen eye to detect. This means that if you're out hunting for these rare quarters, you might stumble upon one without realizing its true value. Coins like these tend to surface at auctions or through private sales, where their true worth is recognized by people who specialize in error coins. The collector interest surrounding this coin is immense, with many individuals seeking to complete their Washington quarter collections with examples from each year, especially those with errors. The 1980 D mint mark error is just one of many minting mistakes that have occurred over the years, but it's certainly one of the most fascinating because it represents the artistry and precision or lack thereof behind the minting process. Given its rarity and the collector's demand for error coins, the 1980 Washington quarter is expected to appreciate in value as time goes on. Investors see these types of coins as sound assets, especially if they are well preserved and show little wear. The market for error coins continues to expand, and the 1980 large date with D mint mark error is positioned to remain a key piece for anyone looking to invest in high-value U.S. quarters. The 1981 Washington quarter dollar is an interesting piece of coinage history. Washington quarters were first minted in 1932, with George Washington's portrait gracing the obverse. The reverse design has seen some variations over the years, but the 1981 issue is particularly special due to its error variant. In 1981, the U.S. Mint began producing coins with the Washington quarter design as part of the regular coinage production. However, in some of the 1981 Washington quarters, an interesting error occurred. The mint mark, D for Denver, was mistakenly applied incorrectly in some coins, creating the D error mint mark. This error is significant because it was not a standard issue in the design for the year. The D mint mark should have been applied according to specific protocols, and when this error occurred, it created a variety of interest from coin collectors. The first thing that comes to mind when evaluating the value of this coin is its rarity. The 1981 Washington quarter is quite common in circulation, but the large date with the D mint mark error is far less so. Most of the 1981 Washington quarters were minted with a regular Denver mint mark, and this particular error coin, especially when in circulated condition, is a reminder of how even small mistakes in the minting process can lead to significant collector interest. The value of this particular coin can be substantial, as collectors and investors know that error coins often fetch a premium price in today's market. From a design standpoint, the 1981 Washington quarter features a simple yet elegant obverse design. The portrait of George Washington, created by John Flanagan, is prominent on the front of the coin. The reverse side features an eagle in flight, clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. These timeless designs have been the hallmark of the Washington Quarter series. The 1981 Washington Quarter stands out because of its unique error, and this makes it not just a piece of U.S. history, but a rare find that many collectors want to add to their collection. But what truly increases the value of the 1981 Washington Quarter dollar with the D error mint mark is its mintage and the level of collector interest. While the exact number of error coins is difficult to pinpoint, it is believed that only a small number of these D error mint mark coins were produced. Minting errors such as this are uncommon, and when they do occur, they create a huge buzz in the numismatic community. For those looking to invest in rare coins, these error coins hold great potential for appreciation in value over time. So, what is this coin worth today? The value of the 1981 Washington Quarter dollar with the D error mint mark in circulated condition can fluctuate based on its overall quality, rarity, and the interest from collectors. However, auction prices for this coin have reached impressive amounts in recent years. On average, a circulated specimen can sell for anywhere between $7,000, with some examples fetching even higher prices, depending on the degree of error and collector demand. The rarity and appeal of this error coin make it a prized possession for those seeking to complete their collections with unique pieces. In addition to its rarity and historical significance, the 1981 Washington Quarter dollar with the D error mint mark has a growing market, and its value is likely to continue increasing as more collectors become aware of it. With the demand for high-quality, error coin pieces rising, this coin is definitely one to watch for future value increases. So, if you happen to come across one of these coins, make sure to keep an eye on the auction prices, as this piece could become even more valuable in the years to come. Our next coin for discussion is the United States Silver Washington Quarter dollar from 1977, a large date variant without any mint mark. This particular quarter has become a highly sought-after coin in today's auction market, with collectors and investors alike scrambling to get their hands on it. To fully understand why this coin commands such high value, let's first explore its background, the historical context surrounding it, and its key design features. The 1977 Washington Quarter dollar features George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. This design has been the hallmark of the Washington Quarter series since its introduction in 1932. What makes this specific 1977 large date coin so intriguing, especially the version without a mint mark, is the subtle yet significant variations that occurred during its production year. While the mint mark itself can often provide information about the origin of the coin, some of the most valuable coins are those that are produced without one, either through minting errors or intentional design choices. In 1977, the U.S. Mint had started making use of more modern coin-producing techniques, and there was a shift in how the coins were designed. The large date feature of the 1977 Washington Quarter is one of the key elements that collectors pay close attention to. The numbers 1977 on the coin are larger than those on the quarters minted in other years, giving the coin a unique look. Interestingly, in the case of the 1977 quarter without a mint mark, it is likely that the coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, where the majority of U.S. coins without mint marks were traditionally struck. When it comes to mintage numbers, the 1977 Washington quarter is not considered particularly rare in the general sense. However, when looking at its value, it's important to consider its condition. In circulated condition, this coin doesn't typically command an outrageous price on its own. However, due to the popularity of Washington quarters and the large date variety, it can still fetch a reasonable sum at auction, especially if it's in above-average condition for its age. Its value is generally determined by the wear and tear it has experienced, with coins in better condition earning a premium. Market demand for this coin has increased in recent years, and collectors are showing a keen interest in coins that showcase unique features or slight variations like the 1977 large date without a mint mark. The market value of this coin can fluctuate depending on factors like its condition, rarity, and current collector trends, but it is not uncommon for well-maintained examples of the 1977 large date to see prices in the $25,000 to $40,000 range in circulated condition. Collectors are particularly interested in the 1977 Washington quarter because of its connection to the broader history of U.S. coinage during the mid-1970s. The quarter series itself has undergone many changes over the years, but the large date variety of the 1977 coin represents a fascinating chapter in this ongoing evolution. Coin enthusiasts also appreciate the simplicity and elegance of the Washington quarter design, making this coin a beloved choice for many in the numismatic community. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into these valuable coins and want to learn more about rare and collectible pieces, next up, the 1984 silver Washington quarter dollar with a large date and a P-era mint mark is one of those coins that immediately catches the eye of numismatists. While 1984 might seem like a typical year, the error present on this coin has made it exceptionally rare and valuable in the collector's market today. To understand why this coin holds such high value, we need to dive into the historical context and examine the minting process for this year. The Washington quarter dollar was first introduced in 1932, celebrating the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the years, the design has remained largely unchanged, featuring Washington's portrait on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse. However, as we know, the world of coinage is never without its flaws, and the 1984 P-era mint mark is one of those rare mistakes that has made this coin highly desirable. In 1984, the U.S. Mint began producing quarters at a rapid pace to meet the growing demand for circulating currency. The 1984 Washington quarters were minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why the majority of them are struck with a P mint mark. However, as collectors soon realized, some 1984 quarters were mistakenly struck with the P mint mark placed in an unusual location. This minting error involved the size and positioning of the mint mark, which became larger than intended, resulting in a noticeable flaw that immediately caught the attention of collectors. The P mint mark error is not particularly common, which is why the 1984 silver Washington quarter dollar has become one of the most valuable examples of its series. The coin's value has soared in recent years, largely due to the error's rarity and its growing demand among collectors who appreciate the historical significance of these misprints. In addition to the error, the fact that the coin is a silver Washington quarter adds another layer of appeal. This silver content, although only around 90% of the total weight, makes it an attractive asset for silver investors and collectors alike. Now, let's talk about the market value. The 1984 silver Washington quarter dollar, with a P-era mint mark, especially when in circulated fine condition, has seen its auction prices range from several $200,000 to well over $300,000, depending on the specific condition of the coin. Coins in higher grade conditions can see prices even higher, especially if they are certified by a respected grading agency such as the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation or the Professional Coin Grading Service. These organizations assess coins based on their overall quality, including features like luster, strike, and preservation, which can significantly affect the price in the marketplace. Collectors are particularly drawn to coins with minting errors like the P error on the 1984 quarter because of their rarity and the historical context surrounding such mistakes. Errors, especially those that are unique or unusual, tend to spark curiosity and create a sense of excitement in the collecting community. This 1984 P error quarter fits perfectly into that category, and its value continues to rise as more collectors seek to add one to their collections. The mintage of the 1984 Washington quarter was substantial, with millions being struck. However, the specific number of coins affected by the P mint mark error is far smaller, contributing to the scarcity and desirability of this coin. Since the US Mint does not typically release exact numbers for error coins, it's difficult to determine just how many exist, but estimates suggest that only a small fraction of the total 1984 Washington quarters were struck with this mistake. As for the design features of this coin, they remain true to the Washington quarter's traditional aesthetic. The obverse displays a profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, a design that was created by sculptor John Flanagan. The reverse features an eagle in flight, perched on an olive branch, symbolizing peace and strength. These designs have become iconic in U.S. coinage, and their timeless appeal only adds to the value of the coin. The 1984 silver Washington quarter with the P error mint mark is highly collectible, and if you manage to come across one, you may be in for a nice financial windfall, especially if it's in fine or better condition. While it's not every day that an error coin like this appears, it's a prime example of how mistakes during the minting process can lead to significant opportunities for collectors and investors alike.